Live from the forest moon of Endor, this is the Late Late HoloNet. Welcome to the Late Late HoloNet. I'm your host, Grand Moff Taylor. We've decided to kind of relaunch the show with a little bit of a different format. So we used to do like reviews and things like that. Honestly, no one wants to watch me, who has no, film, anything, review stuff. It's not a big deal. I am a huge Star Wars fan. So basically what I've decided to do is turn this podcast / channel into a discussion of things that I want to talk about in regards to Star Wars. So I'm going to do like character comparisons and things I'm looking forward to. And I mean, for sure, when new movies and The Mandalorian come out, I'll definitely be talking about those. But for the time being, it's going to be more like short form, essays type stuff. So this is the first episode. The first episode was going to be something completely different. But I think I need more time on the first episode. We'll talk about that when we get to the end. So since we haven't had a trailer drop yet, we don't even know what the title is. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you guys my top 10 wish list for episode 9. I think that since we don't have a trailer and a title, we don't know anything about tone. We don't know anything that's going on in this movie. And the beauty of episode 8, and I know episode 8 gets a lot of flack, but the beauty about episode 8 is it kind of left us in this place where they can go anywhere with the story, and it could turn out to be anything. Like, we've heard of a time jump, so how long is the time jump? Do we know what's going on with, does Rey have more Jedi that she's training? Where's the Knights of Ren? Anyways, the possibilities are wide open. Maybe Kylo has a beard. I've heard that rumor floating around that, ditch the mask, get a beard. Sounds like a plan to me. Anyways, so let's dive in to the top 10 Grand Moff Taylor wish list for episode 9. So, coming in at number 10, I definitely want to see more Force users in episode 9. I think Rey and Kylo are really good. Like the way they play off each other, I think they're great characters. But I think that it would be beneficial to see other people, maybe not necessarily using lightsabers, but definitely more Force users, be it the Knights of Ren, or maybe Rey's training some new Jedi. Either way would be good. I'd like to see a big battle with tons of lightsabers, because that's what I want to see. Okay, coming in at number 9, this is more of something that I don't want to see. I do not want to see a new super weapon that can destroy planets, or can destroy 2 planets, or can destroy a group of planets, or a whole solar system, or a whole galaxy, or the entire universe. We've had enough super weapons. No Death Star, no Death Star 2, no Starkiller Base 2. I don't want any of that. I want just something new as a threat. I know it's an easy threat because it's like, oh my god, it's this big giant space station that can kill a lot of people all at once. And I understand that it's a great, what's the term I'm looking for? It's a great threat that Star Wars has sadly overused. So let's move into something else. Let's find another grand reason to have a grand battle than they made Starkiller Base 2.0. That's definitely not something that I want to see in episode 9. Coming in at number 8, a little bit of backstory on how Kylo Ren got turned by Snoke. I'm not saying we need the whole story. I just would like to have something that gives us a hint. We know that Leia mentions, that Snoke had already got to Kylo, and I think even Luke mentions it as well. So we know that while Ben is training with Luke, he knows Kylo, and they know of Snoke. So I don't understand that backstory, and I would really like to see it fleshed out. And I want to see it fleshed out in the movies. I know we'll probably get a book at some point, or a comic book, or whatever, and I'm fine with it being in a novel, like the full story. But I would just like it to see it in the films. Now, if it's not there, I'm not going to lose my mind. But just something. I don't know if it's a flashback or what, but just one tiny thing. Okay, number 7. More creative use of lightsabers. There was one of the best shots in Episode 8 was, Rey's wrapped up by the Praetorian Guard, and she's got the lightsaber in her hand, and he's got it wrapped up, and she drops it, grabs it with the other hand, slices him, cuts him down, and then throws it to Kylo, and he turns it on and turns it off right in the dude's face. And I mean, like, everybody in the theater lost their shit. I don't care. You can tell me that you think that Episode 8 is the worst Star Wars movie in the world. If you tell me you didn't like that scene, you're a fucking liar. Pardon my French. You're a damn liar, because everybody liked that scene. Anyways, I digress. What I was talking with a buddy the other day, and why is it that like two guys are swinging their lightsabers at each other and they're like locked in, and why isn't one guy turning it off and turning it back on right through, or like you go to swing and you turn it off, and then as you've passed his lightsaber, you turn it back on and cut him in half. It's things like that. Like they have to remember that these are retractable swords that you could get really, really creative with. So I would like to see that. Again, I don't know for sure if I'm going to get that. That might be something that comes down the line, but this is definitely something that I would like to see. Number 6 is going to be a little controversial. Reloj. I'm sorry. I think the idea of them getting together is very intriguing and can't be discounted. And this ties into my number 1, which I'll get to when I get to my number 1, because I think this is the way that you can get my number 1 to happen. And you know what? I'm going to stop here with this one, but I really think that the characters getting together is a very interesting story device they could use. So we'll remember this one when we get to number 1. Anyways, number 5, Vaders Castle. Not sure how you work it in. I mean, well, there's 1,000 ways. Kylo needed to go there to get something, whatever. They've alluded to it in the comics that there's something underneath it. The visual guide to Episode 7 says Snoke's ring. Episode 7 or Episode 8. Anyways, one or the other says Snoke's ring has obsidian obtained from under Vaders Castle. So let's go there. It was cool in Rogue One. Let's see it again in the movies. I think it would be great. And then maybe this is where Force Ghosts come in, like Kylo's there and he meets Luke's Force Ghost in Vaders Castle. How fucking cool would that be? Okay. I think that would be cool. All right, the other thing is, number 4. A lengthy time jump between Episodes 8 and Episodes 9. Now, I know the rumor, John Boyega somewhere let slip that it was a 1-year time jump, but I think if you go back and read the quote, it's really misquoted. So, but 1 year I don't think is enough. I think we need a 3 to 5 year break between these two movies, especially with 7 and 8 being like it's like 8's like the next day from 7. And I mean, it was weird, but the way they ended 7, they kind of had to do it that way unless they did a time jump within the movie. And I remember speculating that there was going to be a time jump in Episode 8. So I think it wouldn't have made sense. So I like the way they did 8, keeping it close, because the time jump during the movie isn't very Star Wars. I guess it doesn't really matter. We're out of that. Well, this isn't Star Wars thing. Like, Star Wars is whatever they say it is now. So they could do whatever they want, but in keeping with the narrative, it worked the way it was. But for this movie, I'd like to see, the galaxy, 3 years into the rule of Kylo Ren being supreme leader, and what that means to the galaxy and what that does to the general populace of the galaxy and how bad it gets. And the resistance at the end of 8 is that essentially 18 people in the Millennium Falcon, maybe less, and they got to build up somehow. So let's make sure that time jump, and then throw Lando in there in a way that where it's not like like Lando coming in, oh, I'm here to save the day. Like, I want Lando to be pre-established. I think this should have been this would be number 4.5, but because it's a 3 to 5 year time jump, Lando would be established as part of the resistance and not like showing up to save the day. Like, he could still show up and save the day, but not be like, this is the first time, like, I've been here for years. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. All right, coming in number 3. I want Leia to be used well, which I know is going to be very difficult, and I don't want them to kill her off. There's no reason to kill her off. This is the last movie of this trilogy. There's no reason to kill her off, because if you're going to do a trilogy in the future, a mainline Star Wars trilogy, you're going to set it 15, 20 years in the future from what we're at now. So at this point, there's no need to kill her off, because your story is going to be advanced 15, 20 years, and people can just assume that she's passed of natural causes. So don't kill her off. She doesn't need it. Just give it a happy ending, and that's that. Because it's bad enough what happened in real life, and then Luke says to her, "No one's ever really gone," and Niagara Falls every time. Like, I can't handle that scene. So I really don't want them to kill her off. I think she needs to be around and part of the celebration and making sure the galaxy's a great place again with democracy winning. All right, coming in at number 2. This one's going to be a controversial one for sure. I think Kylo Ren needs to be redeemed. I'm not sure the way I want them to do it, because I don't want it to be the Darth Vader throwing the Emperor into the pit. I mean, obviously that's not even a possibility, but like, for them to introduce a new bad guy doesn't make a lot of sense, especially a new bad guy who's Kylo Ren's boss. So that doesn't make any sense. But it needs to be a redemption that we don't see coming a mile away, even though it's been alluded to, and he's had his chance to redeem himself. And I think that's, a lot of people draw that, like, well, in the throne room when he killed Snoke, that was his chance, and he turned back to the darkness. But I think that his character is going to be the opposite of Anakin, because we got Anakin's full story, right? His rise as a Jedi, and then his fall to Darth Vader, and then his rise back to Anakin. So he has more of a complete arc, but it's back and forth. Whereas Anakin went from good to bad, and now we're gonna have Kylo going from bad to good. And I think that's a good rhyme. George Lucas likes his rhyming in Star Wars, and I know he's got nothing to do with this, but I think they're using, especially now that they're trying to get the fan base all back together, they're going to use a little more of this George's philosophy. And so I think Kylo being redeemed shows a connection to Anakin, and it's like the opposite, and it rhymes, and it's good for the We're gonna edit right here. Anyways, okay. So Kylo being redeemed, I think, is very important to making this story feel complete. There's now redeemed and die. I hope not, because this leads me into my number one, and my number one is that this is not the end of the Skywalker saga. So it's okay that they say that this is the end of the Skywalker saga, and I'm okay with that, but I don't want this to be the end of the Skywalker bloodline. Does that make sense? So what I'm thinking is, then this ties back into number 6 with Reloj. I think that you get them together and they have little solo Skywalker babies, and then the Skywalker bloodline's at least continued. I think it's important that they can, continue with the Skywalker name going forward, because we've got the Benioff and Weiss series of movies coming out, so we know that's probably next on the list after these numbered movies are done. Rian Johnson's trilogy is still probably coming out, so we know that that's probably going to come out opposite years, hopefully. But I'm, in 10, 15 years, you're probably going to want to go back and do they're probably going to want to go back and start doing some mainline Star Wars again. So if you've killed off the Skywalker name, it's going to be really hard to go back and do them. This way, if you get Rey and Kylo together, then you've got the balance of the Force, happy ending. This new Skywalker is the balance of the Force. And then you can go and figure out something else for the bad guys coming in, but it's like 25 years in the future from now, and maybe some of these characters come back, but I think your best bet is to keep the door open. You know what I mean? Don't lock the door on the Skywalker name, if that makes sense. So there it is, guys. That's my wish list for Star Wars Episode 9. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you have, hit that like button below. Also, let me know some of your ideas, maybe what you think of your list or some things you're looking forward to that I missed. Let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this one every week. This is also available as an audio podcast, so go on to your favorite podcast player and search for Late Late HoloNet. You will find us there. So that way, if you don't have your eye sockets ready, you can plug it into your ear holes. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this week, and we'll catch you guys next time. May the Force be with you always.